Yeah. Recording. Okay. So now there must be some sources of prehistory, right? That archaeologists dig up. So what are the sources of prehistory? Okay. So, and you guys, can you guys just like guess what those sources might be? You guys can unmute yourself and talk. Any sources of prehistory? Any source of prehistory? Sorry. Yeah. So, what are the source of prehistory? You guys can guess. Jyotsna, Pranay, any source of prehistory that you might have in mind? Jyotsna?
Don't know.
Try and guess, no? Try and think in your mind what the source of prehistory are. Pranay, can you think of any source of prehistory? You both are school students, right? Okay, shall I reveal to you what the source of prehistory are? Okay, so the source of prehistory are stone tools. So the stone tools are, these are the stone tools that I was referring to. Do they look like made of stone to you? Do they look like stone tools to you? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Now the wood pieces. These are made of wood. These are made of wood. And these are what archaeologists discover, and these are what they use to discover the artifact. All right. Now charcoal. Now, if they find some pieces of charcoal, they will be like, okay, there will be something underneath that charcoal, and let's kind of dig up that place. Now, bone and human fragments. These are bone fragments. And they have, and what ASI, that is Archaeological Survey of India, does is that they mark these fragments. You can see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. They mark these fragments so that it's easy to find them. So they will say, give me A fragment, give me B fragment, and so on. Give me A fragment, give me B fragment, so on. All right? And they will discover the dwellings themselves. So you can see that this is a dwelling, right?
Fossil and fuels.
So, Prana, you have any doubt?
You can say fossil and fuels can be the source of prehistory.
Yeah, fossils also can
like
be the source of
skull.
prehistory. That will come under like bone fragments, or they can come under stone tools.
Okay. That's only.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah, fossils also can be the source of prehistory, but that will be in other countries. So ASI, ASI doesn't consider them because ASI is the main source in India. So that is affiliated to the government of India. And this is a dwelling in Syria or Israel, and this is the dwelling themselves. So you can see a fragment on top of it. So that's like one bone fragment, a pretty big bone fragment. Did you guys understand? Yeah?
Yeah.
Anything else? Pranay? Jyotsna?
No.
Understood, understood.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, okay, fine, all right. Now let's move on to the next question. Now, what are the scientific methods that are used to unearth them? So, now the first one is aerial photography. Now, aerial photography is basically very useful in like farms. So when you see something that is aerial, it's basically like one plane taking off. Just an example. So when a plane takes off, it takes off from a runway, right? So it's useful in a farm. So when so you've seen that advertisement for that Sinoli place, right? So when I was searching for aerial photography, I came across this Sinoli place, and I was like, no, I don't want that Sinoli place because I've already seen that Sinoli show. So aerial photography is very useful in like farms and places that are in an open area. So they don't need to go underneath, which lead so the farmers say that, you know, there's something that's a very sacred farm, we don't touch that farm. And then the people who are digging underneath that, they find something which is of importance. So that's what aerial photography is for. All right, now underwater prospection, including TV cameras. Now, TV cameras is basically like something that you attach to your head and you go underneath. And bathyscapes. Bathyscapes is basically one of two things. It's either like one submarine, and when archaeologists go underneath that, and they find something new. And I think it's very popular in like Europe and in like the Scandinavian countries. And yeah, this bathyscapes thing, right? Can you see the bathyscapes thing? Yeah. So the bathyscapes, or it's like one suit. If you're like if you have enough weight, you can wear a suit, and you can go down and you can say that, you know, hey, I found this thing. And you can take like one bone fragment and you can take it up to the top, and then you can say that this is something that you have found underneath the water. So that's underwater prospection. Got it? Got it, both of you?
Got it.
Yeah. Now, magnetic detection is something that you use, as the term suggests, with magnets. Now, magnetic detection is done via magnets, and it's different from electrical anomalies, which is done with like your rheostat or something. And since both of you and the rheostat is done with like wires and in your labs, and magnets are done with like magnets are different from electricity, right? So magnets are useful even in the open field, and electrical anomalies are done to they try and see which one is more useful. So magnetic detection is done with they kind of see like which place can have which kind of electricity. So if you have any other doubts, so that I'll make a separate presentation. If you I'll make a separate slide for these two, but and I'll share it with both of you. But they see which kind of magnets and which kind of electricity is used, and which kind of rheostat is more useful. So I can't explain this in much because I've not read much about it, but these are like the kind of scientific methods that are used for them. So yeah, I just found this in my book. So yeah, they just use that as a scientific method.
Janvi,
Yes.
I have some doubts.
Mhm.
In aerial photography,
Yes.
you can take it to upper layer of the earth only. That
Yeah, you can take it to the upper layer of the subsoil. The subsoil is
Yes.
the layer of the soil.
One minute. But it will not go down the earth where
Yeah.
the in your previous slide, you said
Hmm.
about the bones and other things.
You said about?
You said about bones, the dwellings and other things, no?
Yeah.
Right. Go to the previous slide.
Yeah. Yeah, underwater.
No. Previous first slide.
Yeah.
That is, where do we find them or what do we find them? The first slide of yours. Previous one. Where you showed about the bones, the dwellings, charcoal.
Where we tell about?
The charcoal.
Yeah, the charcoal, yes.
Those things,
Hmm.
they are buried under the earth. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes. They are buried
So,
under.
in the case of aerial photography,
Hmm.
it may not be possible
Hmm.
to take a photo of what is under the earth. That's my
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
The underwater prospection, that is okay.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
Then magnetic detection, you have to explain
Hmm.
how in magnetic detection, what do you find?
In magnetic detection, what you find is magnetic detection. What you find is
What is the use of magnetic detection?
Hello. I have
yeah.
seen
What
one
is?
video on History TV 18. They are using some technique like magnetic detection under the soil or under means below soil. We can come to know that anything is there or not. They have
Yeah,
used
you can
magnetic
find
technique.
anything is there, but magnetic detection, what you can find is
Gold or anything.
what you can find is maybe you in aerial photography, I said you can find these Sinoli artifacts, right? And they mark it as like so in you can find like bangles and stuff like that, which are made out of metal. So in magnetic detection, you have to find stuff that are made out of iron, stuff that are made out of stuff that you can't that you have to find only using metal.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is, don't stop at magnetic detection. Explain by magnetic detection what are the things that can be found in the prehistoric times, which is helpful in the ASI to work with.
Okay.
Electrical
Anomalies.
anomalies.
Hmm.
In electrical anomalies, what do you find?
Okay, so electrical anomalies, what happens is, electrical anomalies, you have to dig, what happens is, electrical anomalies, you find something called filled in pits. When you dig underneath the soil, that increases the conductivity of the soil, and something that reduces the conductivity of the soil, which is empty pits. So you have to find something that balances the conductivity of the pits. So that is done to balance the electricity. That is done to balance the electricity. That is why they use electrical anomalies.
Okay.
Yeah.
In magnetic detection,
Mm-hmm.
it allows the archaeologists to see into the ground and identify without having to excavate. That's why it's called magnetic detection and not something else.
In magnetic detection, it's it allows them to see into the ground, and
We are trying to help you is
hmm,
by magnetic detection,
hmm,
the archaeologists can see what is underneath, and then they can excavate.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that is magnetic detection.
yeah.
From the surface of the earth, by magnetometry, you detect where is what,
Yeah.
and then
You
go to
detect
that
where
place
is what.
alone,
Yeah.
and go to that place alone and excavate.
Yes.
The same thing in electrical anomalies.
Hmm.
When the electric current is passed under the, when electric current goes on the surface of the earth or under the surface of the earth,
Yeah.
if there is something which is hindering the passage of the electric current, then they can pinpoint that point, that place, and find out what is there, whether it will be useful for them to dig there. So this will help them in shortening the time of research.
Yeah. Yeah. This will help them in shortening the research. Correct. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine. All right. Now. Okay. So.
This the fourth thing: aerial photography, underwater, magnetic, and electrical. You have just given the gist, just one line. Now take each one of them and explain in what way they will be helpful to ASI to find out the prehistoric this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you said about origin of man.
Yeah.
But we have gone away from the origin of man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Origin of man, to my knowledge, it means that how mankind is evolved. Now, what we are seeing here is after mankind evolved, and after so many years, those cities are gone and we are excavating.
Yeah, that is correct.
So it should be origin of man is from the pre-man, from the one cell animal.
Yeah.
To the mankind, you should be able to explain.
Okay, fine. All right. Okay.
Am I correct?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Pranav, I think I am a little bit okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Pranay, you understood everything. I don't.
Yes.
The gist of. I explained both of them very badly, but I think both of them were okay. Did you? If I didn't explain both of them properly, then I'll explain them again. But I think from here on, it won't be a problem.
What we have to do is,
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Now the next two are prospection by acoustic or seismic methods. So now acoustic is when you hear something. Now the reason I put aerial photography at the top is because that surprise at the end that I told you about. They see everything and then they say that, you know, okay, something might have happened over here. Now the acoustic and seismic methods are a bit I'll explain this and then I'll say which is the most common. All right. Now, acoustic is like hearing something and then think that, okay, something might be here. So they take all the equipment with them and then they say that they say that, okay, something might be here. So acoustic is like here taking like some we have headphones, right? So acoustic is basically that advanced headphones, and seismic is basically advanced glasses. In the olden days, they used to have like one-eyed glasses, right? So seismic is those one-eyed glasses to see whether something might be there in the soil. So it is similar. It is not similar to aerial photography, but acoustic is pretty advanced because if you hear something inside the soil and then you say that something might be here because you know you can hear hertz waves. Hertz is basically what you say, or even gigahertz. You might say that you know something might be there inside the soil because you can feel the vibrations inside the soil. That is what is acoustic methods. That is what is acoustic methods, and seismic methods is what you can is you're standing on one end and you see on the other end that you know something is there on the other end. That is what is seismic methods. Did you guys understand that? That is what is seismic methods.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Jyotsna, do you have any doubts?
No.
No? Sure?
No doubts, yeah.
Yeah. So chemical analysis of soils is done by chemists, and they see what chemicals are there inside the soil. And wait, I hope I have pictures for you guys. Wait, let me see whether I. And what they do inside this is that you know they analyze whether okay, wait, you guys can. Okay, so wait 1 second. Stop share. Wait. Yeah, wait. So what they do is they see whether so the most common method, you guys can see it now, right? It's better if I don't present it also. Yeah, so that's why. So chemical analysis of soil is they see whether these 4 chemicals are there inside the soil: proton, cesium, or radium. And they can see, and since oxygen is there inside the air and nitrogen is there inside the air, they don't detect for those chemicals inside the air. And why I'm saying whether these chemicals are there inside the chemicals is because those the most common methods to detect any to detect these methods. All right. And so Wait, just give me a second. All right, I'll just go and explain all these radiations to you, because one radiation, one thing is in lakhs and one thing is in millions. I'll read it out to you so that you guys can understand the whole gist of it, because even I wasn't able to grasp it when I read it. So you guys try and grasp it. All right. So potassium argon dating. Sorry, I didn't mention potassium and argon. Potassium argon dating is based on the fact that a radioactive. Do you guys understand radioactive? Radioactive means like something that is something that so when Marie Curie was working, the chemicals that were there inside, when she discovered radium, it continuously vibrated. It continuously vibrated even when it was not, even when it was inside the, even when it was in its normal form. So radioactive isotope of potassium, which is K40, present in minute quantities in rocks and volcanic ash, decays into the gas argon, Ar40, at a known rate. Half of a given amount of K40 will change into Ar40 in about 1.3 billion years. So imagine if in billion years, how old it will be. So presently, techniques have been developed to date accurately materials as young as 50,000 years old. But potassium argon dating works best with samples between 1 followed by 5,000, which is like 1 lakh, and 5 million years old. So that is what potassium argon dating is. And radiocarbon dating, which is C14 dating, samples usually consist of organic. Organic is something that, you know, organic material, which is grown on the, which is grown in mud, or which is grown in your house. Found on archaeological sites such as charcoal. I showed you a picture of charcoal, right? Wood, seeds, and other plant remains, or human or animal bones, all of which I showed pictures of you. The accurate measure of the 14C, C14, all right, or radiocarbon. I showed you, I told you what radioactive carbon. That is what carbon is. Is affected by counting errors, background cosmic radiation, poor sampling techniques, etc. In spite of these limitations, it is still the main dating tool for organic materials that go back to about 50,000 to 80,000 years old. That is what radiocarbon dating is, guys. So that is why they search for carbon. That is what chemical analysis is. All right, so that is it. Okay, now let us go to evolution. Okay, so I have only all right, so life on Earth began 3,000 million years ago. That is, I think, 300 lakh. I think 10 million is 1 lakh. Anyway, 3,000 million years ago. So evolution is from hominidae. We have evolved from hominidae. Pongidae is chimpanzee and gorilla. That is why they are called our ancestors. All right, they evolved from Australopithecus to Homo. I mean, Australopithecus can still be found in, I think, Australia and Africa. Okay, they evolved to Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and then Homo sapiens. And nowadays, scientists like to give terms to what is that? Three scientists like to give terms to yeah, this is what, yeah, I give, yeah. So with Homo erectus, what happened is our backs became erect. That is why our parents tell us, keep your back and your shoulders always straight. All right, because with Homo erectus, our backs became straight, and then Homo sapiens, right? Now, with domestication of animals is when nomads became is when nomads became pastoral. They started moving around in different places. Some of the nomads came to Pakistan and India, and some of the nomads went to Egypt. Some of the nomads went to what is called today the Fertile Crescent, that is Syria and Israel, and some of them went to Europe, and some of them migrated to America, and some of them migrated to Australia. So yeah, the dog was the first animal to be migrated, and you can see the camel over here, you can see the buffalo, and then you can see the beautiful rat and rabbit, and you can see various animals, and you can also see the horse. With the horse, the animals started, the nomads, that is the humans, started riding it because some of them went to, like Arabia and every other place. Now, with domestication of plants, it became more diversified in the Mesolithic period and completely in the Neolithic period. So in the Neolithic period, what happened is it became a full revolution. Okay, it became primarily on cereals. With the second phase, in the first phase, they became slightly with plant, slightly with meat, because they have not completely gone to the Mesolithic, right? So it became based in the second phase. It became primarily based on cereals. They became in Western Asia and Europe. What happened is they became with wheat and corn in Western Asia and Europe, rice in Southeast Asia, sorghum and millet in Africa, and maize in America. Replacing meat with veggies constituted milk and salt in the diet. Sorry, I have put solid. Salt became an item of trade. Okay. Now, with the implications of agriculture. Okay. Can I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys understood till now?
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys understood, then please. Tell so, wait 1 second. 1 second, I'm not able to see him. I'm not able to see only the video. Yeah. Okay. Wait 1 second. Let me share the screen. Okay, so let us continue. Now, what happened once they started planting? So, this guy called V. Gordon Childe. Okay, so Childe with CHILDE. He started he said that there was this was something called the Neolithic Revolution, and this these were the implications of agriculture. Now, what happened because agriculture started? Now, villages were born. All right. So when you start a villager, when you start now these now you can see the presentation, right? You can see the presentation, right? So
yeah,
till Homo habilis, I'll go to the previous slide. Till Homo habilis and early Homo erectus, they were using what was called the Oldovian and Acheulean tools, and that was the Paleolithic period, and that was the we would call it the early Paleolithic period, and Oldovian tools came from a name came from a site, one site called Oldovia, which is located in Africa. All right, now now the other place, Acheulean tools, that were located in Saint Acheul, which is another site that is in France. Maybe you can come with me if I'm going to those places. And so Homo erectus, the later Homo erectus, they started using these tools which were in the Mesolithic period. All right, and they used another kind of tool. They used another kind of tools called the they used another kind of tools, and in the upper Paleolithic period, they used tools to make tools. All right, so and they had one actual knife. So when you have one stick, all right, and you cut edges, that becomes one knife. All right, so they use another kind of tools, and in the Mesolithic period, they use what was called Mouse-Stadian tools. All right, they were called Mouse-Stadian tools, and that was obviously from a mouse because they domesticated the mouse in that period. All right, don't ask me why, but yeah. Okay, any doubt till now? So that is so till Homo habilis and Homo erectus, they used those kind of tools. And yeah, so Homo sapiens were the upper Paleolithic period, and then after that they came home. They came to the Mesolithic period, which is the upper. What is that? You guys tell me. Which is the upper Paleolithic period. You guys can't tell me. Anyway, all right, fine. Okay. All right. All right. Now, from Homo erectus to Homo sapiens is so from Homo habilis to Homo erectus, we call them hunter-gatherers. Now, from hunter-gatherers, what we can learn is that they foraged for food. All right, they foraged for food, and whatever food they can find, they used those food, and they used to kill animals like this. So they didn't have anything called a knife. And the reason in the Paleolithic period they didn't have a knife is because they didn't have to use a knife. They just had to use what was like one spear kind of thing to kill the animals. All right. And the reason in this period they domesticated animals and they became pastoral nomads is because they wanted to move from that hunter-gatherer lifestyle. All right, so they moved from different areas and they moved from where they were. The direction they mostly moved was westward, but some of them moved eastward. All right, so I told you about the domestication of plants. And the reason they started agriculture, and so the hunter-gatherers, what they did was they became, and when they had one hunt, all right, so in the name itself is written, villages were born. So in the hunter period, whenever they went for one hunt, right, they made one group, all right, and in that group itself they made one village. All right, so the villagers made like one in the hunt itself, they made one group. That group became like one house. Everybody understood? That group became like one house. Anybody has one doubt? Jyotsna, Pranay. That group became like one house. Many houses became like one village.
Yes.
Yes, Jyotsna, Pranay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Now, many villages became like one settlement. So villages were born, and after this hunt, everybody dispersed. All right, that is not a matter of contention. So settlements expanded, and populations increased. So the problem with this populations is this thing: new epidemics and diseases. Now we'll come to that later. Emergence of tribes. Emergence of tribes. What happened is emergence of tribes is that many tribes, if you are from one kind of family, they will say, hey, you're from one kind of family, I am also from the same family. If you are from West Asia, you will say that, hey, I am from West Asia, let's mingle together and say that you will stay in the same area. It's like that kind of thing. All right, it's like us living in India. Did everyone understand? Pranay, Jyotsna, Pranay, you've remained silent till now. Wait, let me only put one emoji.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, put one thumbs up on the Zoom video if you have any doubt. Okay. All right. Now, the problem with this, so we've had four good points till now. So the population has increased till now. Yes. So this was around, let me say, I would say around let us say 6000 BC, if I am getting my dates correct. 6000 BC. What? Wait 1 second. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, they've not given any dates, but I am estimating that. Yeah, so it says about 30,000 years ago. So I'm estimating about that time only. So how many? Yeah, so I am guessing about 6,000 BC, and so it happened so that the mosquitoes started breeding around that time. So mosquitoes and fleas started breeding in that area because a lot of water was required for agriculture, right? So for agriculture, a lot of water is required to water the plants. Okay, so because of that, they sucked the water, and what happened is the those diseases started biting us, and they just like pricked us, and we got malaria, especially the ones that are vectors of malaria. You know what vectors are, right?
No, no.
You don't know what vectors of malaria are? Those that spread malaria.
Okay, okay. And female Anopheles mosquito.
Huh?
Female
Yeah.
Anopheles mosquito. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Jyotsna? Jyotsna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I will go to PowerPoint slide. Okay. Okay, so you understood everything till now, right? Any doubt? Apart from those, the presentation that I've made? Apart from those scientific methods? Scientific methods, I'll make one presentation. When can you guys come? Shall I make it in the evening? When you guys are free? Sorry for the sound. Sorry for the sound. May I mute me? Now, what is the $1 million question running in both of your minds after all this presentation?
Will you join the class?
Huh? No. I have something still left. I have something still left. One slide still left. Jyotsna, what is the $1 million question that is still running in your mind? Something that I still not covered.
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't
You
know.
guys don't
Will I
know?
get $1 million?
You guys don't know? You guys don't
No.
know?
No.
Okay. All right. If you guys don't know, I'll give you one more guess. And you guys think nicely in your brain, and you guys see around your house what in Jyotsna's house it's yeah, I don't know where it is in your house, in both of your houses, but you guys think nicely in your brain, and you guys think about you guys think about food. I'll give you one clue also. I have given you one clue also.
Oh, fire! You are talking about fire?
Yes, I am talking about fire. How did they cook? Plants, the hunter-gatherers need plants, need something to eat, right? And they need something to eat. So the archaeologists, all right, now Pranay and Jyots, I just need to see your faces and need to see how you, Jyotsna, just even if it's for 1 minute, I don't mind, but both of you, please just open your video and just show me what it's, just show me your reactions to what I'm going to show you, because it's going to be really interesting. All right, Jyotsna, just open your video for 1 minute. You both are at home only, right? And it's on the weekend, so no problem. Jyotsna, Pranay, I won't press the animation until you guys open your video. And anyway, it's on a weekend.
I need to go, Janu. My election results are coming. Bye.
Okay, wait, I'll just finish. It's 11th slide, so no problem. This is the last slide.
Okay then.
Okay, so fire was first discovered 5 lakh years ago at Zhuqiudian Cave, China. Now our ancestors could cook food, and this aided digestion. Sorry, my spelling mistakes are really bad. Now this expansion into new environments by providing light, warmth, and protection from predators, and it employed to hunt game and to burn plant communities. Now, this is a picture of our fire, and this is a big, and you guys did not think about the $1 million question. So fire was an advance in technology for our ancestors, right? So I want you to think about this question, and I want you to think about whether advances in technology made it easier to subjugate other species. So there is a debate whether we are fallen angels or is it apes, and there are you will find this in many books. All right, so there is no point in us ending it. All right, so if there are any other doubts, I will address them in the next lecture. If you want me to do another lecture, please let me know. Okay, were you happy apart from the scientific part?
Yes.
Pranay? Pranay?
Yes.
Okay, when you want the next lecture?
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Shall I keep it morning, evening?
Same time it could be, or it could be in evening. Better. It could.
Yeah, Jyotsna, you want it in the evening also? You want it in the evening?
No, she has some work.
She has some work.
Yep.
All right. So I'll keep it on Monday evening. Is that fine? 7 to 8? There is no limit on Microsoft Teams, by the way. So I can keep it there.
From Monday, I can't do it. I have
7
class
to 8 in the evening. What?
That's
class
what
you
I have. What, not class? I have homework.
You have homework.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
We'll discuss later.
okay, I'll create one group with Pranay and you. So you let me know the convenient time.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Bye bye, peoples. Thank you
Also,
so much
ask
for.
the other person. Ask
There
the
was.
other person.
I thought even if 10 people come, it would be great. And I
Okay,
messaged
but
all of my quizzing friends. Nobody came.
oh, they thought, I
Bye.
think so.
Okay. Bye, Jyotsna. Yes, Pranay.
Okay. I thought they were busy. Means today someone was traveling, na? That's why they couldn't attend.
Yeah, many people are traveling today.
It's weekend time.
Yeah. Pranay, you're in class 9 or class 10 or something?
I have completed my graduation.
You've completed your graduation.
Yes, yes.
If you are interested, take MA History from IGNOU. You will get all this and more.
I completed my graduation in computer technology.
Computer technology. Oh,
Yes, yes.
like BTech or something.
Yes, yes, BTech.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just I was looking for UPSC classes, means
Ah,
just for knowledge, and if I get good knowledge, I can just attempt that exam.
Okay.
It would be useful. These
Okay.
topics also appear in the exam, I think so. This static history, I think. This is static history, no?